Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Stephen. This particular blog entry that accompanied this email, I think, is one of the more important ones. Ironically enough, it's actually one of the more fundamental ones. Over the July 4th holiday, an individual had gone to one of our Southern California ranges, employed some very poor shooting protocols, and as a result of that lack of firearm safety, another individual, unrelated to her, ended up having a gunshot wound that required hospitalization. Now, fortunately, it wasn't life threatening, but I really wanted to take this as an opportunity to kind of take a step back and look at some of the fundamentals that not everybody necessarily employs. You know, we for those of you who have taken classes at the Artemis Defense Institute, you know this. We take the four rules of firearm safety as almost a religious doctrine. It's extraordinarily important because we can't afford to let ourselves get into a situation where we become so complacent in our use of gun handling that either we become victims of our own negligent behavior or somebody else becomes a victim of our negligent behavior. As a result of that, we tend to be hypervigilant when we see people on the range that not necessarily have gone through the same level of training that we have. I think that this particular blog entry, we talk about the sort of the religious aspect to these types of firearm safety rules. And I'm asking all of you guys to, if not necessarily share the blog, share the concept with those that you know that own guns but don't necessarily come in for continuous training. That's one of the most frustrating things for us. Brand new shooters, people who have very limited experience with firearms, tend to be very, very open to the idea of developing an understanding of firearm safety and then really adhering to the rules of firearm safety. Those that have owned guns for years and years and years, those that have been shooting for years and years and years, but not necessarily have gone through continuous repetitive training, they tend to have skill sets that have become so embedded in their muscle memory that in many instances they're patently unsafe. And it takes a lot of vigilance on our part to point out they're constantly riding the trigger or they're allowing their firearm to, point in unsafe directions or things like that. So this is one of those things where we all have a unique opportunity to be extremely proactive in making sure that individuals on ranges are safe. And it really comes from just being willing to say something, whether to the individual who's acting improperly or even to range personnel. And at the very end of the day, if nobody's willing to change their behavior, then you guys just have to leave. So again, guys, read the blog, share the blog, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose, stay vigilant. And again, like I always say, if you have any questions or you'd like to make any comments, always feel free to email me at stephen@artemishq.com. We look forward to seeing you in the shop and out on the range. Thanks, guys.